Let's get a little refresh on Facebook. Is that cover photo of us on there the last time that we went to a Phillies game together?
What, on our Facebook?
Yeah,
I think so.
that's crazy.
I think that's what our cover photo is.
All
Yeah, that was a while ago now.
Let's see.
That was September 2022.
September 22. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, against the Blue Jays. All right, are we good to go?
I'm trying to check. I don't see the stream anywhere. It says we're live though.
Let me check from my end.
Yeah, here we are. We're good.
All right, cool. All right, and welcome back yet again to the Paisan Sports podcast presented by Elevation 5280 Sports. Dante,
Wait, hold on for a second. I got to cut you off really quickly because I'm going to forget if I don't mention it right now. So I hope you're not ducking this, and I'll really question your manhood because that's just really wrong of you, especially for this podcast and the integrity of this podcast. Who was the Giants coach a couple years? Was it the Giants coach? That was the old Patriots coordinator. Was it Joe Douglas or Joe? Was it? No, it wasn't Joe Douglas. The old GM, Joe Davis, right? Or was it Joe Davis?
I have no idea.
Joe Judge. Remember Joe Judge? Remember that guy? Okay. He was the Giants coach for like a year.
Don't remember him, but go ahead.
Wasn't he the coach that was talking about the integrity of the game?
Honestly,
he was the coach. He was the coach that was getting mad about. Wasn't he the one that was getting mad about the Eagles tanking in the half that messed up a situation for them as the Giants coach? And he was talking about the integrity of the game and how it's wrong to do that. I think they took Jalen Hurts out of the game when he was a rookie or something.
Oh, okay. I know the situation you're talking about. I remember Giants fans complaining. I just don't recall any.
All right, well, I brought all that up just to talk about integrity. But integrity. Okay. I was going to mention your hair looks a little bit different. Like it looks a little bit shorter, which makes me remember that when the Browns, obviously, we had that clip that's on our Facebook that I pulled. You're going to have to shave your head at some point in time for this season to get started to be a man of your word. So I was talking about I visibly noticed your hair got a little bit shorter. I was like, wow, it's going to look a lot shorter than that when you are inclined to shaving your head from what you said on the podcast, and we had the clip evidence.
I did say I was going to shave my head. Yes, we will. Listen, we'll get to that another time. But right now, let's start the podcast. All right.
Because you do not want to be the meatball of the week on your own podcast. That's when things start to go downhill.
Listen, we'll get into the meatball of the week this week. That's what we're focused on. We're focused on this week right here, right now, not future haircuts, not past statements.
Yeah,
this is the start of the podcast. It's time to start the cast.
Something that you said, what? Now it's probably 9 months ago, 8 months ago, 9 months ago, something that you said, and you're talking about the future, acting like you didn't say it 8 or 9 months ago and made that promise, and then it came to fruition. And you seem like somebody on that specific thing is like an extremely prideful thing. Because
listen.
Let me paint my picture real quick, because I've known you for what, about 3 years now, almost going on 4 years. So
no, 3, because we started CSB in July 2022.
Yeah, so 3 years now. So going on that. I know your birthday's coming up soon too.
1 week from tomorrow.
So I know you're like a prideful guy and everything. Ever since I've known you, you've had the same haircut. Same could be said about me. I'd like shorten my hair a little bit used to have like girl length hair, like down to my shoulders, but it's gotten shorter. But ever since I've known you, you've had the exact same haircut. It's been like a routine. It's like every 2 weeks you get it done, like type thing.
3 weeks.
3 weeks or whatever. And I just feel like you're just not going to live up to this bet. So I just had to bring it up while I was fresh on my brain.
Listen, we'll get to it eventually. Okay. I just started a new job. I gotta have my hair looking nice while I get things moving. All right.
Really good, really good podcast promotion. Like if you're like, why are you suddenly bald? It's like, oh, well, if you listen to my podcast, I made a promise and a bet, and I signed a check that I can't cash. So
I'm looking to make sales, not promote the pod. I mean, I would like to promote the podcast, but I would choose making sales over it. Listen, let's get to the point. All right. I already said presented by Elevation 5280 Sports. Dante DePlacido, joined as always by Zach Deal of What's the Deal Sports. So I've got to ask, what's the deal with Jerry Jones? Okay. He's stalling signing Micah Parsons, what's like, that's to be expected. That's classic Jerry Jones. He waited till the last minute to sign CeeDee Lamb. But then while Micah Parsons is waiting on a new contract, he gives a big fat new contract to Jake Ferguson of all people. Ooh, he's a good tight end. But to give him the bag at this point in time in general, I don't think Jake Ferguson is that good. But to give him the bag before Micah Parsons, I mean, it's like he's trying to ruin the team. And Micah Parsons is the entire team over there. It seems like he's just trying to ruin things. What's the deal with that?
Well, he said recently that he tied up the cat. That obviously people were asking about him, asking about those situations with the high-level players, and he said that he gave all that money to Dak Prescott, and they won how many games last year. So he literally specifically said that, and then he was kind of trashing Trayvon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb. So he's kind of going after everybody and just making it known that he doesn't want the focus of the team to be relied upon just a couple guys. He's trying to spread the wealth out. So I don't know if it's between a number that they can't come to, or Jerry just literally isn't talking to Micah right now because he knows the number is going to be extremely high. But the more that you wait, the more that the precedent gets set. I mean, we just had TJ Watt sign for the biggest non-quarterback contract in NFL history, and he's an older player by 4 to 5 years than Micah Parsons. So the bag that Micah Parsons is going to get is going to be huge. So if I was Micah, I wouldn't even be that upset, honestly, because at the end of the day, these Cowboys players always get paid. It's just about like them being late to the schedule, which kind of like makes them upset. But if the price is going to be driven up as an Eagles fan, you know what I mean? I can't be upset because Jerry Jones is just, making
Listen, I hope Jerry Jones lives forever. I hope that man, what did they call it in that one Indiana Jones movie where if you drank from a certain cup, you would live
I don't
forever.
really watch movies, so.
Well, either way, I hope Jerry Jones finds that chalice. It was a chalice. I forget what exactly they called it.
Are you talking about the Fountain of Youth?
Well, not the Fountain of Youth. I'm referring to
I'm just talking about theoretically. I mean, just like, are you pretty much saying like
basically the Fountain? I mean, the Fountain of Youth. Isn't the Fountain of Youth a little different though? Doesn't it just bring youth out of you? Like when an old player starts playing really well again, suddenly they say, "Oh, it looks like he's found the Fountain of Youth." So I don't think Fountain of Youth provides immortality, or I could be wrong. I don't know. But I know the chalice from that one Indiana Jones movie does. So I hope Jerry Jones finds it.
Well, it's not even just Jerry Jones. Like Stephen Jones, his son, just kind of talks the same exact way as him. So
then I hope Stephen Jones is the heir to the Dallas Cowboys and just runs exactly how Jerry does. That would be
involved that he already is. I'm not sure off the top of my head is his exact role, but I know he's just like literally one step down from Jerry Jones himself. So, but yeah, the rest of the NFC East with the Eagles, I'm just happy. It's crazy that we're in this situation. We got as talented of a player that we did in the first round as Jahad Campbell that fell to
And
us.
yeah, it looks like he's going to be good to go. Didn't they say
The
he's going to be
crazy
in
thing
pads
is,
this
when you
week?
listen to him, he just got interviewed the other day at the beginning of training camp, and they were just talking about, like, are you going to be in full pads when they're ready to go? He's like, yeah, I'm fully healthy, I'm ready to go. So they're just easing him back in. A lot of teams must have just not like the medical. I guess that was the same situation when Nakobe Dean, when he fell to them in the later rounds, in the third round, and they scooped him up. So, and Nakobe obviously got hurt for the season last year, but that was a completely different injury than what was people were scared about around the league. It was the shoulder, too, that he was going into the NFL with that caused him to fall. And he was also kind of an undersized guy. But Jahad Campbell, 6'3", 245, also a local kid, too, that has hunger. But it just, for guys like us as South Jersey guys, it just gives us even more of a reason to root for him being a South Jersey guy. We know how that went for the first Super Bowl run. Even as close to a guy as Glasbro with Corey Clement, when he was another South Jersey guy that really lended a hand to what the Eagles did with that first Super Bowl. And just to see a guy, like, I was following Corey Clement, he was like 2 years older than me, playing the town over of high school football.
Corey Clement is more than 2 years older than us.
No, he's not.
Surely he is. Because he was a rookie while we were like, what, 19? Oh my God, he's only 30 years old. Holy shit. God, we are old, man.
Bro, I know. I've known about Corey Clement since I was like 14, because
We
he
are
was like
old.
the
He's
biggest
only
like player in
30.
South Jersey, the town over from me. So yeah, that's why I
Wait a minute,
told you your
he
birthday's coming
played
up
as
too. You're cooked.
recently as 2023 for the Cardinals. I didn't even know.
He was on the Cowboys. He was on the Cardinals, but I think the team before that was the Cowboys, right?
I think so. Just like
Did
how
you see all that shit that
what's his
Miles
name is
Sanders
now
has
a
been talking?
Cowboy.
Did you see all that shit that Miles Sanders has been talking?
I didn't, but
He's been
if
talking
he's on
about
the
like how
Cowboys now
he
and
like
he's talking shit, then fuck him.
he said he's got like, he's feeling energized and stuff. Like, this is just paraquoting, but he also said that like he could have done the same things behind the line that Saquon's doing. Like, but I thought it was interesting that he's
He
talking
had
about,
the same line.
no, but I thought the most interesting thing was that he was like kind of like coming at Saquon with some of the comments that I saw online that he said, and I'm pretty sure these are like actual legit comments. And he was kind of coming at Saquon, who's like his boy from Penn State. So it's like, that was kind of weird that he was like not just like trashing the Eagles, but specifically Saquon himself. But I guess he feels wronged by the Eagles, and he signed that contract. And the Eagles obviously upgraded.
And he's fallen off since. Hey,
He
listen,
did have a really good. I will give it to him. He did it like the Super Bowl season, the year that they came up short. He did have a really good year.
no, he had a great year. I'm saying since then he's fallen off.
So even for like that, honestly, wouldn't you agree that Miles Sanders as a second-round pick did his job over the 4-year course, like you would say?
Oh, absolutely.
Successful.
Absolutely. I was a huge fan. I was a huge fan of Miles Sanders while he was here. 1 year for Christmas for my sister's
Well, I
birthday.
just feel like my perception of
Hey,
like,
hold on. I was gonna say 1 year for my sister's birthday, I got her a Miles Sanders jersey. At the time, she wanted a Travis Fulgham jersey. That should tell you what year that happened. But I talked her into getting a Miles Sanders jersey instead, which turned out to be a better purchase. I should probably get her a Saquon jersey this year.
Wasn't the Travis Fulgham one of the games that he went off? That was the Steelers game. That was also the game.
Yeah, that was the first game he went off.
No, that was the Chase Claypool game too, wasn't it? The 5-touchdown Chase Claypool game.
I don't know if Claypool caught 5 tutties that game. But hey, real quick, I just wanted to, because I wanted to bring something else up after the what's the deal. So real quick before we get back into football, not to bring up golf for the first time in the history of this podcast, but I've been pretty hype on golf ever since Friday night, because I don't know if you've seen it. Did you see Happy Gilmore too?
No, I have not.
Oh my God, you're missing out. You've seen the first one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta watch. The second one is fantastic, and there's a ton of cameos in it. There's a ton of golfer cameos in it. John Daly plays a big part in the movie.
You really are old, dude.
Why? Because I said John Daly?
No, just because you're just hype about this. This is just showing your
Happy
age.
Gilmore 2? Are you insane? Who isn't hype about Happy Gilmore 2? But a lot of golfers appear in that as well. Scotty Scheffler, Bryce DeChambeau, and a ton of other guys I don't really know because I don't follow golf too much, but I follow
Do you
it
ever
a
play
little
golf
bit.
yourself?
Yeah. I went out on the course for Father's Day. I've been trying to get back out there, but my dad and my brother, they go out Saturdays, and I work Saturdays now. So I haven't really been able to join them on the course, but I used to hit the driving range a ton during COVID because that was like the only thing to do.
Yeah, apparently Saquon's a really good golfer. What he golfed with Trump, I think, over the.
Jalen Hurts looks like a solid golfer, and you know who else does? Jimmy Rollins.
Yeah, Mike Trout. I think I've seen him murder some golf
Mike
balls
Trout.
too. But
Fuck that guy. But let's get back into football. You know what I want to talk about? What I think is the biggest highlight of week 1 of training camp. I think it's the mentality this Eagles team currently has.
how Landon Dickerson pretty much shut down like any talks about like team from last year and how they've already moved on and turned the chapter. Jalen Hurts
and Jordan Mailata, who said we're not defending shit. This is a new year. That team's in the past. Or
maybe they learned their lesson. Obviously, it's a different stage of like the dynasty that you're trying to climb up the ladder, but. You saw how the Chiefs were treating last year with the three-peat and how they just kept talking about the three-peat. I felt like it was more so Kelsey that was leading the charge with that, and everybody else kind of followed. But he was really
he's like the influencer of the.
Yeah, like it wasn't like other people.
Speaking of that, Travis Kelce was also in Happy Gilmore 2. He was the only cameo I did not enjoy watching.
Yeah, you hate like even people connected to Philadelphia that just are like on a B level. You even
here's the thing.
You just missed like two.
Here's the thing. When New Heights first dropped, I started to really like Travis Kelce. But ever since he's been with Taylor Swift, he's just become insufferable, in my opinion. And it's not just because he's dating Taylor Swift. He just, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it's just too much.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that actually brings it up to me. So, they just had the replays on NFL Network of the Chiefs AFC Championship from this year and how they were celebrating and what they were saying, like on the field going into the Super Bowl, like they were celebrating the AFC Championship and what they were saying. And he was like saying all this crazy stuff at the podium. He was like, I forget what he said. He was like quoting some song and he was like dancing to it. It was like some crazy song. I forget what it was. It was real corny. And I just watched the Eagles celebration too from the Super Bowl and everything, and it was just like two completely different mentalities. But also, not only that, Jalen Hurts won't even literally put the ring on.
Yeah, he said he hasn't put it on, and he's not going to put it on because he's moved on to this season. And that's why I think this team collectively has such a great mentality, because when the leader of your team, that being Jalen Hurts, has that sort of mentality and he's the leader of the team, that transcends to the rest of the team.
Yeah. Also, if you listen to the Exciting Mike's podcast, I've listened to every single episode.
I haven't been.
They had like a long lull period. They had a long lull period because what's his name got married. Reed got married. So
that's why they did one remote podcast with Chris Long. I watched that.
That was a really good podcast because
it was really good. A lot of great insight from Chris Long.
Yeah, I've been meaning to listen to Chris Long's podcast himself. Is what, the Green Light podcast? I think it's called.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been meaning to listen to his, but like I liked how they let him just like tell all those stories and reminisce on the.
Yeah, they didn't really say much the whole podcast. They just like Chris.
That's what I'm saying. Like literally, I was listening to it and I saw the video and I was like confused because when I was listening to the audio, I was just like, it sounds like Chris Long has literally talked for 85% of this podcast, but it was all about the Super Bowl team. And it was just like so much great, insightful stuff about it. But the one thing that I wanted to reference the Exciting Mics about was if you listen to their podcast, like over time, they keep talking about and bringing up how the veteran guys, like how huge of a difference that Darius Slay has made for the young secondary guys, even though he's not there anymore. But what he taught them last year, even Avonte Maddox, what Avonte Maddox taught Cooper DeJean last year, and what A.J. Brown and the matchups that Cooper and Quinyon Mitchell going against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in practice, or what the veteran guys like Nolan Smith talks about what BG taught him, and just the older guys and just the veterans and what they've been able to teach the young guys. And it's just like so refreshing to hear that, because like you've heard that from numerous instances, and it's like on both sides of the ball. Like they like literally like compete with each other, but they also teach each other. Like Lane Johnson's like pulling Nolan Smith aside and telling him in joint practices like how to attack a different offensive tackle, and like A.J. Brown's telling like Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell like little things that wide receivers do at the top of their routes so that they can sharpen their game up. And it's just like those are the little things that make the nucleus and core on this team so close and so tight, and why they were able to win a Super Bowl together last year.
Yeah, and what was I going to say? Yeah, that kind of brings it back to what I wanted to say about the Chris Long episode. Is I thought it was really cool seeing like one of the guys from the previous Super Bowl team provide all of that insight to the young guys from the newest Super Bowl team. Like it was a cool thing to be like a fly on the wall to witness, like, oh, did you guys do this? Did you guys do that? Well, this is how we did.
Well, that team had so many, like that team was built so differently. Like it was like all the 1 year like vet contract, guys that were
like Chris Long was only here 2 years.
Patrick Robinson was there.
That was the other guy I was going to say. LeGarrette Blount. LeGarrette Blount was another one.
I guess Fletch was like in his prime, but he was like, we had players like Coop like performing on his 22nd birthday. You know what I mean? Like Fletch was like 27 years old in like his athletic prime as the best player on the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it was a different type of thing. But that's what's crazy is Reed Blankenship's been talking about how he looks around now on the defense and in the secondary, and he's the leader with Adoree Jackson, who just got there, because those are like the two oldest guys.
Yeah, it's a really young defense. It really is. I mean, we used to refer to on the Phillies, Stott, Marsh, and Bohm as the daycare. If any group of people should be referred to as the daycare, it should be the Eagles defense. Really, the Eagles' entire team. I mean, the only old guy on the whole team is Lane Johnson, pretty much. I think everyone else is under 30 besides like Lane and I guess Jake Elliott. So it's a very, very young team.
Yeah, I think they might have. They made a couple like veteran defensive line signings recently.
But even those guys, I don't think they're above the age of 30.
But yeah, even those young guys too. I mean, Andrew McCooper's going to have a chance to start at safety. Remember, I talked about the Cooper DeJean getting him on the field originally safety at the beginning of last year.
Yeah, I don't know why they got him playing safety a lot.
And now it's actually happening. Like Vic Fangio's listening to the podcast, and it's actually happening, and he's starting at safety. But
Vic Fangio listens to the Paisan Sports podcast.
Yeah. But
I would be honored just if somebody told me Vic Fangio tuned into one episode for 5 minutes, that would be one of the highlights of my life.
And agreed with something that we said. But I try and I listen to all of his press conferences, so I'm very in tune with what he tries to say. So
can we talk about how we're going into this season this is the Paisan Sports podcast.
Yeah, you already brought it up.
We're heading into this season with an Italian head coach, an Italian defensive coordinator, an Italian offensive coordinator, and an Italian head of security. And the Italian head of security is the most Italian man you've ever seen in your life. It's quite a great time for the Paisan Sports podcast.
But all those young guys that we mentioned, they're like, there's going to be a path for them to start. Like Jahad Campbell is probably going to start.
Because Nakobe Dean, I don't know if they're going to mainly use him as an off-ball linebacker or as a pass rusher, but with Nakobe Dean
Dean's not practicing at all.
Yeah, I don't think
concerning too that
I don't think he's gonna start the season. I think they're gonna go without
no,
him.
he's not gonna. He'll probably be out for at least the first 4 weeks. He'll probably be closer to getting him back in like November because it was a bad injury that happened later.
So I don't know if they have two options. They can either play Campbell at off-ball linebacker that whole time until Dean gets back, and then they can use him more as a pass rusher. Or they could use him more as a pass rusher off the bat and have Trotter Jr. playing that off-ball linebacker spot. So I don't know what exactly they're going to do, but it's going to be interesting to see. And whoever's going to be playing opposite of Zach Bond, whether it's Campbell or Trotter Jr., I'll be excited to watch either one of them.
Oh, it has to be Campbell. I might start off with Trotter, but I really hope that it's Campbell because Campbell's like sideline to sideline, the way that he's able to cover too, even though he's like.
Yeah, but I really want to see him pass rushing,
Once you see him, the way that he moves in space and the way that he's able to cover tight ends, like if you watch his college highlights, a lot of the later year college highlights that he has are him making plays on the ball in the air in pass coverage. I think that's actually like the best part of his game, in my opinion, from what I've seen. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. Because if you just like clone a guy like Zach Bond, like the plays that he's making in the Super Bowl, the diving interception, if you have another guy that can run sideline to sideline like that with a physical Cooper DeJean in the slot right next to them, this defense is going to be insane. And then maybe Andrew Makuba wins the starting safety job. They finally came to terms with him. I forget if we mentioned that on the last podcast. So, and also our boy Shamar Stewart finally got it done. Shout out to Shamar Stewart.
Oh yeah, he got signed. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's
the only draft pick that isn't signed is Quinshawn Judkins, the Ohio State running back.
Yeah, because they also just signed Makuba as well.
Well, yeah, that's what I just said. That's why I gave Shamar Stewart this shout out. But for the Eagles defense, they just like pretty much like lost a bunch of veteran guys that were kind of. Josh Sweat was definitely important. I can't downplay Josh Sweat, but Milton Williams, I think, had 11.5 sacks over 4 years, with 5.5 coming this past season. So he's a really good player that was peaking and probably is going to be a good player for the next couple of years. But at that price tag and what the importance to this defense and what he was, they just couldn't pay that. So they pretty much lost those veteran guys and just injected youthfulness to the defense of just like youthful playmakers that make plays on the ball. And that's maybe like the one gripe that you could say about their defense, with their cornerbacks not getting any interceptions last year. Being that they don't cause enough turnovers, and they just drafted a guy at safety that had 5 picks last year in college playing for Texas.
Well, here's the thing about that. Is last year, obviously no interceptions by any corners. I think that can be attributed to the style of play that Fangio runs for the defense, but you look at the safety position, CJ Gardner-Johnson had 6 interceptions. So if Makuba comes in here and grabs a lot of interceptions, you're just swapping out Gardner-Johnson's interceptions for Makuba's.
Well, obviously, we saw.
So it's not like you're adding more turnovers. However, what I will say is I think
you're downplaying also once again the Jahad Campbell coverage thing, because he creates turnovers. He had a couple picks last year in college too.
But what I will say is I think Makuba is maybe not in his rookie year, but I think Makuba is going to be a better all-around safety than CJ Gardner-Johnson. As much as I like Gardner-Johnson while he was here, and he does create a lot of turnovers, he caught 12 interceptions in 2 total seasons as an Eagle. I just think there were still some holes to Gardner-Johnson's game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people talked about how he was bad in the red zone, but and specifically in the red zone, how times he got caught up in bad situations there. But I also wanted to talk, maybe the thing is how we just talked about Andrew Makuba and his versatility and what he can do as a defender, as he also played slot and safety. So maybe that's why Cooper DeJean's getting tested at safety, because they like Andrew Makuba maybe playing slot.
Yeah, but that makes no sense to me because DeJean played the slot position better than anyone else in football last year.
I know, but Andrew Makuba also, you have to remember, Andrew Makuba is 5'10", 185. That's small for a safety. That's not big. If you're getting matched up with like tight ends consistently,
yeah. Well, you know who else is small? Tyrann Mathieu. You know, and look how
retired, but I mean, Tyrann Mathieu was also Andrew Makuba was a good player. Tyrann Mathieu was arguably the best college football player when he was coming out of college.
Yeah, but still, we're also looking at a big height difference there. Even there, I'm not too worried.
I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying maybe like they just view him differently, just like how the versatility of Jahad Campbell, maybe they like him off ball as a pass rusher because they said Vic Fangio literally just said in his press conference that he's going to start as the off-ball linebacker because Nakobe Dean's out. And then they asked him what Jahad Campbell has to do to become a pass rusher, and they said he'll get some run there, but it's mostly going to be off-ball to start. So we don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think most likely the way it will shape out is I think they will end up playing him off ball. But once Dean comes back, I mean, Dean has earned the right to not lose his job. So I think
that doesn't necessarily be the case. Their defense is also a hybrid, so maybe they run more 3 linebacker fronts, and they just think, there's different things that they can do with their defense that's creative, just having those guys out there.
Yeah, but I once Dean comes back, I would really like to see him play opposite of Vaughn with Jahad Campbell pass rushing more, especially since with the guys they've brought in free agency at pass rusher, how there are more question marks. They could end up.
I feel like even the journalists that are close to the team don't even have that high of confidence in those guys like Josh Uche and
and so as of right now, I mean, you're looking at really one proven guy pass rushing, which is Nolan Smith.
Well, there's also another guy that's gaining a lot of buzz with comments from Jordan Mailata and also from Nolan Smith, and that guy's Jalix Hunt.
That's who I was about to bring up next. I was about to say you also have Jalix Hunt, who I have a lot of confidence in. I think he's going to be really good, but you don't know 100% for sure. And even if him and Nolan Smith both play great, which I do expect, I do think that will happen, you still don't have any guys to rotate in there like the Eagles have done for so many years. They
have Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche,
But that's what I'm saying. Those guys could easily not end up working out. And so it would be great to have a guy like Jahad Campbell who you can rotate in along with.
We didn't sign those guys to be starters, so I feel like it's going to be hard for them not to work out because at the end of the day, those are 2 talented guys. I mean, Josh Uche is a little bit younger than us, and Azeez Ojulari is like barely 25. So I mean, they're still young.
Yeah, but the youth doesn't always equate to production.
I mean, Azeez Ojulari, it's never been an issue about health or an issue about production. It's been an issue about health. And then he got phased out because they had traded for Brian Burns, who's one of the better pass rushers in the league, from the Panthers. And then they had Kayvon Thibodeau, who's the top 5 pick or top 7 pick, whatever it was that year, with him and Evan Neal going couple picks between each other when the Giants had those 2 picks together next to each other, 5 and 7. So, I mean, Josh Uche had 12 sack season like 3 years ago, and that was when he was like 24. So maybe also you got to realize the Eagles have a really good core. Maybe Nolan Smith and veteran guys. Nolan Smith is now like the veteran guy in the room, so I guess that's where he has to learn from. But all these guys can help and teach each other. They have a very learning and growth mindset environment, it sounds like. And also their defensive line is versatile. They just got I feel like Ty Robinson had so much steam right after he got drafted, and then you haven't really heard him mentioned.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about him this training camp.
We got another year of what's his name? Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Ajomo or Moro Ajomo, so he played pretty well last year in the playoffs. He hasn't been production in the regular season yet, but he could fill that role,
with Jordan Davis, slimming down as much as he has, I think you'll see a lot more of Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis teaming up at defensive tackle in the field. You typically saw Jordan Davis at nose tackle with Jalen Carter and Milton Williams next to him. You would sometimes see him pass rushing in the nickel formation with 4 guys on the D line. You would see that sometimes, not a lot, but I think you might, with Milton Williams out of the picture, with an unproven Moro Ajomo being the next guy up, who I do also have confidence in, I think you're going to see a lot more of Jordan Davis pass rushing out of the nickel formation.
Yeah, so I like where the defense stands at. I like the depth that they have. I feel like people are kind of underrating those 2 guys that we just mentioned at the pass rushers. And then obviously the offense, I mean, the only thing about the offense that you can talk about, I feel like the biggest storyline that you can say for the Eagles going into this year is offensive coordinator. I think that's the number one storyline over everything is Kevin Pacheco.
Yeah, I would say that's the big. Well, I would say the 2 biggest question marks going into the season is the offensive coordinator, who I'm confident in, and Keeley Ringo, who I'm also confident in, but I think he still is a big question mark heading into the season.
Yeah, well, Dory Jackson, I think, was the first person to get first-team reps for them when they did the team period, so that was actually interesting. And I know Keeley Ringo's had a couple tough reps out there, but he's also lining up with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, so you know what I mean? Iron sharpens iron, so I guess that's good for him, but he's not going to always look the best when he's matching up with those guys, and he's still trying to learn out there. Vic Fangio has an interesting approach because the way that he's talked about Sidney Brown in the past, we don't know how he's going to view players like that because that was like of a previous regime. And he's talked about Sidney Brown had reps with the previous regime, but not him. So I don't know if he feels the same way about Keeley. But I feel like there's open competition. They're just trying to keep the competition flowing. So there's a championship vibe and there's a competitive vibe that's around the team with the guys that they brought in the door. And there actually is low-key a couple spots that are open. It just seems like the most talented guy most likely will fill them, but that's not always the way that it plays out on paper. So with that being said, I guess what would be like the most interesting thing? Like off the top of my head while I'm asking this question, I feel like what if like one of these receivers that got drafted last year emerges as the wide receiver 3 over Jahan Dotson? Like that. I feel like
well, here's the thing.
I feel like that would be
here's the thing. Well, hold on, because let me just answer this question. From what I've heard so far involving training camp, as of right now, it seems like outside of obviously Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Jahan Dotson, if you look at the other pool of receivers with Ainias Smith, Johnny Wilson, those guys, it seems like right now the absolute best out of that bunch is Terrence Marshall Jr. And to me, it makes a lot of sense. You're looking at a guy who had a great career at LSU, who helped Joe Burrow win a national championship, and then was set up with bad quarterback after bad quarterback and hasn't really had a great start to his NFL career. Now being put in this system with Jalen Hurts throwing him the ball, he's looked really good in training camp so far. And if anybody has a shot at beating out Jahan Dotson for wide receiver 3, I think it's absolutely, without a doubt, Terrence Marshall Jr.
Yeah, I just don't know how much they're tied to him. I like the prototype of him. Obviously, LSU receivers are very successful, and he's still young, and he's a big receiver. I also kind of like what Ainias Smith provides, and we didn't get to see too much of him. Johnny Wilson had some good reps last year, too, like that touchdown.
But a lot of bad, but he had quite a few bad drops. That's the only thing I don't like about
Yeah, but
Johnny
I mean, those are
Wilson.
fixable things. But I mean, if he can get things clicking with his size, I mean, that's a cheat code. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, he can. They could use him like how the Eagles used to use Harold Carmichael back in the day.
What if they start grooming him for eventually?
Oh, whoa! Let's not talk about grooming people, dude.
I mean, if that's the first like things that comes to your mind when I mention that word,
Whoa,
then
dude.
have issues. But what they start putting in the seeds, like now you're making me feel weird about everything.
Bro, you're talking about grooming him, planting seed inside him. My God.
Chill. All right. What if they what if he gains some weight, and when Dallas Goedert eventually moves on, maybe after this season or in a couple of years, hopefully they sign Dallas Goedert to like a 2-year extension after this year, and he's just here till he's like 32 and then can move on. Because I feel like he still has a couple good years left in him. But regardless, what if Johnny Wilson turns into a tight end, puts some weight on, turns into a tight end with that
Now
size?
you're talking about how tight his end is. Jesus Christ, I can't do this.
All right, let's get serious.
No,
Come on,
but no, I mean, I don't hate that idea, but that is if he puts on weight and
well,
learns
you also
how
have to learn how to block. But I mean, we see some other guys like
that's what I
turn
was
in.
saying. Yeah, if he also learns how to block, but and for the time being, I would really like to see them use him how they used Harold Carmichael, which I don't know if you've ever looked into that, but basically back in the day with Harold Carmichael, most teams would think, okay, you have a 6'8" wide receiver, just throw a bunch of 50-50 balls at him and let him do his thing. That's not really how they used Carmichael. They just threw him a bunch of short passes and let him just run downfield and shove people out of the way. So that's kind of what I would like to see out of Johnny Wilson.
Yeah, also the passing game was a lot different back then, and also
it was a lot different, but still, it would just be cool to see, once again, once
how
they
does it
finally
make you feel that how does it make you feel that Kenyon Green started off as the third team left, or the third team left guard? So he wasn't even on the right side; he was the 13 left guard.
Well, I'm an advocate for Tyler Steen, and it seems like right now the job belongs to Tyler Steen, which reminds me of how he lost the job last year because he was simply beaten out by Mekhi Becton, which brings me to the last thing I want to bring up before we move on to the Meatball of the Week. Going back to what we were saying about Kelee Ringo and Adoree Jackson. Here's the thing about Kelee Ringo. Here's the thing. So far in Kelee Ringo's career, I was a little disappointed to see him not really get a chance to be a starter because I have a lot of confidence in him. I think he'd be really good. Plus, I just love the continuity of having so many Georgia Bulldogs on the defense. And I think now with Slay gone, it's the perfect opportunity for Ringo. But, however, with that being said, right now, as long as Kelee Ringo performs well enough in preseason and training camp, the job is his. However, Adoree Jackson could very easily end up beating him out for that job at corner. So if Kelee Ringo doesn't end up starting at corner this year, then at this point, it's not because he just hasn't had an opportunity yet. It's because he lost out on that opportunity. Yeah. So I'm really rooting for Ringo, but I won't be – if he's not the starter at corner this year, then I'm done with the idea of, I can't wait to see Ringo get his shot, because this is his shot to get his shot.
Well, who else can you say that about?
I guess Trotter. He has a chance to win the.
Yeah, there's one guy in particular in the exact same situation you just painted. The exact same situation.
I guess maybe Steen. Who?
Sidney Brown.
Yeah, but I feel like the odds are stacked against him, though. I feel like right now it's Ringo's job to lose, but I feel like it's more of an uphill battle.
I feel like Kelee Ringo, although Darius Slay's not on the roster anymore, the odds were stacked against him when they drafted Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper Jean, even if he was going to make the team in last year. So him to survive and be in the position that he is now is still, pretty impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, but I hope he beats out Adoree Jackson for that.
One last thing, Kevin Patullo said he's going to call plays from the sidelines. Where do you see this offense? What do you see the path of this offense? Do you think they're actually going to make a change towards a more passing approach, or do you think it's going to be the pound Saquon?
I think it's going to be very similar to last season. I think with a bit more of an emphasis on passing, just by a little bit, just to give Saquon a bit less of a workload, so he doesn't.
I think that Will Shipley might just be used a little bit more since he's a
absolutely. Well, I think we're going to see a lot out of Will Shipley this year. I mean, we're basically going to see the amount of touches Kenny Gainwell got last year, but in the form of Will Shipley this time around.
Well, I feel like Kenny Gainwell really didn't get that many touches at all last year. The year before that,
compared to what Will Shipley got, he got a lot. So
No,
we're
but
going
I'm
to see
just
a
saying,
lot more
I'm
Will
talking
Shipley.
about I'm talking about taking touches away from Saquon just because like you can't do that 2 years in a row, and like having a second running back emerge as getting
Well,
more.
I think it depends. I think it depends how good Will Shipley looks, and I'm really excited for the preseason. I'm actually really excited for the preseason because I'm really excited to see a lot more of Tanner McKee. I'm excited to see a little bit of Kyle McCord. I'm not excited for DTR. I'm excited to see Campbell. I'm excited to see Trotter Jr. out there. I'm
I
excited to
wonder if
see.
DTR makes it off the first cuts, like the 90 to
I
50.
don't think so.
I
I really
don't
don't
know.
think
He's
so.
even making
He's
it.
not good. But anyway, it's now time for my meatball of the week. And for the third time in the history of the meatball of the week, we have a fan at a Yankees game. Now, this time it's not a Yankees fan. This time it's a Phillies fan, which is why with great regret, I delivered this meatball of the week because I hate to see a Phillies fan behave in such a matter. But this occurred, I believe, at today's. I believe it was today's game. It might have been yesterday's game, but I believe it was today's game, where you could see, thanks to a recording from somebody's phone, you could see a Phillies fan with his girlfriend in the stands, up in the upper levels, and to put it simply, he was just going to town on this girl, and it was caught on video. It's all over Twitter. It's a bad look. Whoever you are, you're my meatball of the week.
Dude, did you see the video of the Clippers assistant coach
No.
picking his butt and rubbing it on the wall and sniffing his fingers in a hotel?
What?
Look it up. Look up Dante. Look up. Oh, he's got your name. I didn't even. Go on Twitter right now.
Okay.
I want a live meatball of the week reaction because last week I provided was the first time I think I provided my meatball of the week along with yours. So I'm going to provide this meatball of the week, but I want your live reaction. DAH, I think it is, or if you start typing it in, you'll probably just find DAH. It's like spelled weird. Let me see if I can spell it real quick.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Dante Jones.
Did you say
Yeah.
it?
Who spells Dante like that? What are we doing?
Watch that
Oh,
video.
oh my God. He's based. Oh my God. Oh, and then yeah, there you go. Just take a what, and then and then he rubs it off on the wall. Okay. That is
Dude, there's people talking about
egregious.
you do that like when you show houses. Like there's a video of you circulating around doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, I do that at every house I show. That is just a
All
Mephistophelian
right,
act
some
right
Phillies
there.
talk. I know I got my Flyers gear on. I'm ready to talk about the Flyers, but we got to get to the Phillies, and we got the trade deadline. What's today? The 27th. So I think the deadline is the 31st. That was
Deadline is the 31st. I do know that. Yes, and it
4
is
p.m.
the
I think Eastern time. 6 p.m. We saw some trades. I mean, the most aggressive team so far, even though it's maybe not the most high level players, but has been the Yankees, who the Phillies just played and won the series. They won the first two games and then lost today. The Yankees picked off the rosters. I mean, we were talking about that concept of looking at the worst rosters in the league and just picking one of their best players, and that's what the Yankees did, getting Ryan McMahon, the third baseman, and then they also made another trade for the Nationals infielder Ahmad Rosario, who I think has been on 6 different teams since 2022, which is crazy. I think he's gotten traded at every deadline in the past like 3 years. So the Yankees have been aggressive. Phillies of former Phillies reliever Gregory Soto, who they made the trade with the Tigers, and they got Cody Clemens and Gregory Soto back from Matt Vierling, who is a big part of what the Tigers do now. And Cody Clemens and Gregory Soto are no longer on the Phillies. Gregory Soto got traded to the Mets. I'm trying to think of some other trades that happened off the top of my head. Obviously, we had the Rafael Devers trade a month ago. That shook things up. They're playing the Mets on Sunday Night Baseball right now. I
and the
think
Mets are winning. God damn it!
the
They've been
Phillies made
on
a
the
couple
roll.
like little trades. I think they made like a trade for a pitcher the other day that they put to like AAA or something like that. I forget the name of the guys. Nothing.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I did see that one.
I mean, obviously they drafted those 8 pitchers that we mentioned on either, I think, the last podcast or the podcast before.
I think it was one
8
before
straight
that.
pitchers that they drafted. So, I mean, what does this team have to do? I feel like in years past, I would get mad at both of us and especially myself because I feel like every podcast before the deadline even was like approaching, I'd be talking about some trade move that the Phillies could make. But I feel like we both of us have made a conscientious effort to not do that as much this season, so we haven't complained as much. But with the deadline approaching, we actually have to talk about it. So let's spend some time. I feel like there's a lot of rumors like heating up with Eugenio Suarez right now. But I feel like
I would like Eugenio Suarez. The guy I would like the most is Jaron Duran. I have also seen some wild trade packages for O'Neal Cruz, which I'm not giving up a lot for O'Neal Cruz. But a guy who we've brought up a lot, it seems to be right now the asking price is quite low for Luis Robert Jr. And I would be all in on
just still batting 190.
His batting average against lefties is above 300. He's still a young player. Maybe a fresh change of scenery can improve his average against righties.
But as talented as a guy like that could be, and you bring up that stat, I don't know if it's true. I believe you if you're telling me that is the stat because I believe that you looked it up to tell me that stat. As talented as a guy like that is, does he help the situation if he can only be a platoon guy because of how bad he is versus the other side of pit?
That's the thing. That's the thing. We're talking about a low asking price. So if all we have to do is give up like our 10th best prospect to bring him in and use him against lefties and use him against righties sometimes until we see he's capable of hitting righties pretty well, then I mean, absolutely, I'd go for it. I don't see a reason why not to. I mean, with the amount of upside he has, with how well he plays,
I feel like I'd rather just bring up
and how well he hits lefties, I think it's absolutely worth giving up, like a number 10 prospect to bring him over here. Absolutely, without a question.
I would just feel like I'd rather just bring up Justin Crawford at that point. But I feel like when I look at the White Sox roster, sometimes I feel like maybe Andrew Benintendi, a veteran, could help the Phillies roster. A guy like that, maybe if they want to bring in like a cheaper platoon type.
Let's bring a Paisan in here. You know what I'm saying?
But
what's Benintendi hitting these days?
I think he's batting like 250. But I mean, he's a veteran that
that's a whole lot better than the 200 that what's his name is hitting. Max
I haven't
Kepler.
paid attention to him in a little bit, but I think the
he's ranked 239. Is he got any pop this year? He's got 11 homers, 38 ribbies. I mean, he's not doing great, but it's definitely an improvement from what Max Kepler is doing. I can't stand Max. I'm over Max Kepler. I can't wait until I never see him in a Phillies uniform ever again.
But would you agree that you come to the spot where you would rather the Phillies move on from Bryson Stott if it came to it than Alec Bohm? Because I've 100% come to that point.
I don't know. That's tough. You're talking about
I feel like you owe me an apology because I've been trying to tell you the guy that Bryson Stott is as a player, and you had that one season on me where he batted 280 and you held it against me, and then ever since he's shown the true colors of the guy that I said that he was, and
he still shows some flashes sometimes. He had a great start to the season when he was batting leadoff. But he plays phenomenal defense. And looking at Bohm, his upside is his offense, which is very sporadic. So that's really
Bohm, like with the challenges that he's had, even Bohm at his worst is a 275 hitter though. with like limited pop, but he's still like at worst he's like a 270 hitter, which is really
I
good.
wouldn't say at worst he's a 270 hitter. I would say at worst he's a 250 hitter with a low on base percentage to go along with that.
Dude, with two, like even if you want to say that 250 is pretty good for that being your worst. Like 1 out of 4 is pretty good for like when Kyle Schwarber's at his worst, he's batting like 183.
That is a good point. Now, the one thing I will say
Is
is,
pay fucking Kyle Schwarber.
well, obviously that, yes. But also, I want to see even more out of Otto Kemp, man. I mean, he's really
Oh my
starting to
god,
prove
he
himself.
was
Had
crazy
2 home
today.
runs today.
That
And
crazy defensive play that he made too was nuts as well.
yeah, and the one thing that I think is kind of funny, his name is Otto. He hits the ball to the opposite field quite a bit. I mean, I really feel like Oppo Kemp is right there as a nickname, and I've mentioned it on Twitter. I think it's right there, especially when he hits a home run to the
I
opposite
was so
field.
happy that he made that
Oppo
play,
Kemp.
that defensive play today after those home runs. He made the defensive play at third base because I was like, wow, that kind of flashed the potential of him. Like, if he plays up to that standard, like maybe they can tweak some things around and he might actually be their like eventual third baseman.
By the way, talk about defense at third base. Now, a guy who I've been aware of for a long time playing third base over at Colorado. Never saw much of him. I didn't realize until this series how good defensively Ryan McMahon is. I never knew that about his game. He is really good defensively.
I thought you were talking about Nolan Arenado. I was like, dude, he's a 10-time goal.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously Nolan Arenado, but I mean, Ryan McMahon plays great defense. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was killing us.
Their center fielder, that dude that I was talking about, might be a trade option. Brenton Doyle, I think, has won a couple of Gold Gloves for them as well in the National League. But every time I see like a potential MLB expansion, just a quick note, I always see the Rockies as the team that moves leagues, always to the American League.
Why? Well, that's interesting. What about the Rockies screams American League?
I don't know. That was a quick note that I just like saw.
It was interesting when the Astros suddenly moved to.
I guess if you think about basketball and football, Denver, the Broncos, and the Nuggets are in the West and the AFC.
The AFC, yeah, that is a good point. And then, so yeah, I mean, in basketball,
the Colorado Avalanche, I can't tell. I think they're in the opposite of what the Flyers are.
Do they have a soccer team? I have no idea. I don't follow the MLS enough to know that.
I would know. I know limited stuff about hockey, even though I'm wearing this Flyers shirt. But I could tell you way more about NHL probably than I could tell you anything about soccer. So,
well, now I'm looking out of curiosity. Oh, they do have a MLS team, and they're in the Western Conference.
But this past week,
Colorado Rapids, I've heard of them before.
This past week, they played against the Red Sox and the Yankees. The Phillies did. They matched up against our boy. Would you make an offer for him? You know who I'm talking about.
Duran?
So I always lead you on, and you never say the person's name. Then I'm like,
well, you just talked about the series against the Red Sox.
Who have we mentioned, and what do we need? Besides that, we do need that.
Oh, Chapman?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would love to bring Chapman over here. The Avalanche are also in the Western Conference. So, yeah.
That's what I said.
So in every sport besides baseball, the Colorado team is in the
I don't even know why I brought that up. I just like that sparked my thing because every time.
I've never thought about that before.
Every time that I've ever seen like any expansion for the NH or for the MLB, and there's ever been like a team that has to move conferences, it's always.
Hey, when do the Athletics officially move to Vegas? When does that happen?
I think that's 2028, right?
Maybe. Because I was just talking about, me and my buddy were just talking about, I was telling him I want to go to Vegas at some point, and he said he would only go to Vegas if, like, he was stopping there before going elsewhere. Like if we stopped there for like a day
Well,
or
so you
two.
want to hear my limited NHL knowledge of
And
what I
so
do know?
and then we were talking about going to San Diego, see the Padres play. And I said, well, why don't we wait until the Athletics go to Vegas? Go to Vegas, watch the Athletics, and then go to San Diego and watch the Padres. What were you about to say?
Screw the Padres. My cousin, I had to buy that Jackson Merrill jersey for him.
Yeah, that's right. We
Phillies.
lost that series.
The Phillies, yeah, I got 2 jerseys up on him anyway, so it doesn't matter. But my limited NHL knowledge, what I do know is the last time the NHL expanded was the Vegas Knights, the Vegas Golden Knights, and they made the Stanley Cup literally in their first year as an expansion team.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Isn't that pretty ridiculous?
Yeah, I mean, it took the Flyers quite a while.
I think the NFL was like that too. Didn't the Jacksonville Jaguars low-key make the NFC champion or the AFC championship like 2 or 3 years into their team run, because they were an expansion in the 90s, and I'm pretty sure they went to the AFC championship like in the late 90s.
Well, you know what? Now I have to look out of curiosity.
I'm gonna look.
Let's see if we can figure this out first.
Second year they lost the conference championship. Went 9-7. That was when Coughlin was their coach, Tom Coughlin.
Wait, did they go 10-3 their first season? Hold on.
No, they were 9 No, they went 4-12, 1995. 1996, they lost the conference championship. Then 1999, they went 14-2, 1999, and lost the conference championship again. They made the playoffs 4 straight years and 2 conference championships in their first 5 seasons as an expansion team, with Tom Coughlin as their head coach.
Oh, it looks like they drafted really well.
Well, that's when they had the receivers, and I'm pretty sure Fred Taylor was.
They had Keenan McCart. The 3 Pro Bowlers they had their second year.
My mom brought me home a Mark Brunell jersey back in the day. They had lefty Mark Brunell, and my mom brought me home one of his jerseys back in the day. They had Fred Taylor,
Jimmy Smith.
Smith.
Fred Taylor, yeah. Oh, wow. The 14-2 year,
remember that?
Loaded up with Pro Bowlers.
Do you remember the Allen Hurns game versus the Eagles? Talk about Jags players.
I don't actually know.
How do you not remember these games, bro?
I remember you
don't remember the Chiefs?
Wait. Thinking about Jaguars games during that era, I remember 2014 Week 1 against Jacksonville. Eagles are down by 17 to start the second half, and on the first drive, Darren Sproles rips off a 50-yard touchdown to where the Eagles end up scoring like 30 unanswered points and win the game. But listen,
Allen Hurns played against the Eagles twice and had 3 times and had 2 different games where he had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
And he's played like 60 career total games. But moving off from that real quickly, just a couple baseball topics. You're talking about an outfielder, I think the bullpen. You've also talked up the bullpen before the season started, but maybe that has changed with Jose Alvarado not in the picture. And now what we've seen Jordan Romano to actually be. Do you think what you're tasked with doing one thing, upgrading one spot? What are you doing?
Bullpen. I really like what I'm seeing out of Max Lazar and Seth Johnson. I
feel like Tanner Banks has been arguably their
Tanner Banks too. Yeah, I feel like the bullpen's improving. It's just I just feel like they need one more arm in that pen. And they need to ensure we never see. Oh my God, that's who we got that we put in the minors, David Robertson. Have we not brought that up yet? Maybe we did last week.
No, we did bring that up. No, they also, that's not the same thing that I was talking about earlier when they traded that guy and put him in the minors, though. That's not the same.
There might have been another guy. I don't know. But I think the reason I would go bullpen is because you could possibly put Kemp in left field, which I would feel good about. You can possibly call up Crawford. and move Marsh to left. You can even call up Crawford and put Kemp in left and just switch up your outfield to Crawford and Kemp. Who knows? But
You see all these other teams, though. All these other teams are not hoarding their prospects the way the Phillies are. Like, are the Phillies like scarred from like what happened with the Nationals and the Padres in that trade, and like they think that's going to happen to them if they add like Mick Abel and Aiden Miller in a trade for a good player? Do they think they're going to get like CJ?
I don't think that's what it is.
Like,
I think maybe they have PTSD from adding talent that hasn't worked out, like
even if they got fleeced,
the Austin Hayes of the world and the Max Keplers of the world, I think
but also
they're just tired of bringing guys who just play like crap.
Yeah, but I don't like using Austin Hayes in that reference because Austin Hayes is good now. So I feel like that was just an outlier situation where it didn't work out in Philly, but it wasn't like the bad talent pick, like because he was actually good and he still is good right now. It's just like that was just a bad spot for him right there. But I don't know. I just feel like even if you got fleeced on a trade, like how the Padres got fleeced with the Abrams and the James Wood thing, like the Phillies are an organization where if they get their hands on a player like Juan Soto, they're not letting him leave the organization. You know what I mean? So it's like that.
Yeah, well, listen, don't get me wrong. I want them to add an outfield bat, but if you have to give me the choice between outfield bat and bullpen, I would go bullpen. But I do want them to add an outfield bat. I would be ecstatic.
Let me think of some names off the top of my head real quickly, and like you tell me. Let me just name all of them, and then you tell me like the order that you would like want to go get them in. Steven Kwan, Jaron Duran,
like him.
Who's like another.
So I would go Duran, then Kwan.
I'll throw the Rockies out there just because, maybe they're just selling everybody. Bretton Doyle, that center fielder that has won a Golden Glove, and I think he's pretty fast.
Oh, I would put him third.
Not the best bat. Luis Robert.
I would go Duran, Robert, Kwan, Doyle as of right
Cedric
now.
Mullins.
Cedric Mullins, I would put him behind Kwan and ahead of Doyle.
I don't know how available he is, but just say he is available for whatever reason. Just like if they feel like they're out of the race. The Rangers, Adolis Garcia.
I would put him between Kwan and who was the last guy you mentioned? Mullins. Yeah,
Mullins. People before said he was available. Then he made the All-Star team and has like 20-plus home runs. So I don't think he's available. But just people say the Seattle's always selling people. Randy Rosarina.
I heard. Sorry, not to cut you off, but I've been listening to the radio a lot this week. Some idiot called into the radio and said Steven Kwan is essentially just Max Kepler. Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
That's not even remotely close to the same player at all.
Not at all.
Randy Rosarina. Apparently, people said just because Seattle always sells at the deadline, but Seattle's actually good this year, has an MVP candidate on the roster, and he made the All-Star team, has 20-plus home runs, so I don't think he's that available. Mike Trout.
I would put him ahead of Doyle and behind Mullins.
Taylor Ward.
Behind Trout.
Really? You don't like Taylor Ward?
He's decent.
He's got like 20-plus. He's going off for them this year. The other guy, they got Joe Adell. I love the whole Angels outfield when we just play them.
I like Joe Adell better than I like Taylor Ward.
This is a wild card one just for a shakeup. Maybe the Phillies can prompt them just based off of what they need to change their roster. They're bad defensively. I don't know. Maybe they could help them with pitching or something. What if Giancarlo Stanton, who's an outfielder by trade, but more so of a DH, what if he came available as a righty, big, huge bat? Active leader. Isn't he the active leader in runs too?
Here's the question. Here's the question if you bring in Stanton. Who plays left field, Stanton or Schwarber? Because you got to put one
What
of them
about
out.
Schwarber falling down today when he made that
That was
catch?
pretty funny. I honestly, I think I would trust the defense of Schwarber over Stanton, which is an insane.
Yeah, that also brings
thing.
up the Phillies. Apparently, Castellanos might be on the block. There's no chance he's on the block. I don't know who he's.
They better not trade Costi, man. That's the last thing I'll say about baseball. That's the last thing I'll say about baseball. I really hope they don't trade Castellanos. Final topic.
I'm trying to think if there's any last name. Is there any name? I just named a bunch of guys. Is there any name that I didn't name that'd be an outfield prospect that could be poached from another roster?
I saw somebody post a possible trade for Bobby Witt Jr. today, but I doubt that would ever happen.
I was actually thinking about what would you realistically trade if the Braves just got, for whatever reason, fed up with Ronald Acuna Jr. What did he say last year? It was last year when he made that comment, right, where something happened and he made that comment about the manager or something. Remember he said something like that? I forget what he exactly said, but he made like some comment that he was frustrated with them. But if Ronald Acuna Jr. ever became available, what would you offer, like a realistic offer for
him? Mick Abel.
I'm 100% trading Andrew Painter for him. 1,000%.
Mick Abel.
Not even blinking.
Aiden Miller. Max Kepler.
Yeah.
And Dante Nori.
That's never happening with that. You have to add 4 more guys, and Andrew Painter's involved with those 4 more guys too, and Justin Crawford.
I'm not trading away Andrew Painter just yet. And listen, it's getting late. Let's talk about our final topic here.
You sound like Dave Dombrowski hoarding your prospects for the 3rd best player in baseball at the age of 26. You wouldn't trade for him. To take them, not only trade for them,
you would
too
take them off. For me to think hard about this right now. My brain is getting very tired.
Well, that's like you saying you wouldn't trade for Micah Parsons, where not only you get one of the best.
I would trade for Micah Parsons,
but you also take them off your rival's team to make your rival worse.
Listen, I'm just too tired to think hard about this right now. So let's talk about our final topic here. Some rumors apparently are circling of Ben Simmons joining the Celtics.
Yeah, does that strike a nerve with you in any way? I was a big Ben Simmons guy.
No, I just think it's funny. I would just find it funny. I would like, as crazy as it sounds, I would like the Sixers to bring in Ben Simmons, because I think right now Ben Simmons would be a perfect fit for what this roster currently needs. So I would honestly, as crazy as it is to say, I would.
That's when all the rebounding numbers dropped off, is when they lost Ben Simmons, because they weren't getting rebounding from that.
They need, and what have I been saying? They need some size. They need a true power forward.
It's just like so far fetched that it would never happen. But I mean,
it wouldn't happen. But I just
especially now with that article that came out with Joel, that long article that just came out about like how he truly is. Like, I feel like that just even makes it even more distant of a possibility. But
I would like to see it, man. You
didn't answer me. You didn't text me back after I texted you about that NBA futures odds boost. Did you use that?
What for? Edgecombe to win Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not touching that.
What do you think, is bad juju or something?
No, I just think the likelihood of a Sixers rookie playing the entire season is quite low. We've seen it.
Have you seen the videos of Jared?
Never. We saw it once with Jahlil Okafor. That was the only time we've seen it.
And then we didn't see anything. Michael Carter Williams, and then he got traded after. Remember, Michael Carter Williams dropped the triple-double in the opener versus the defending champion?
It was an almost triple-double. He had 9 steals in that game. I could bet my life on that. I know for a fact it was 9 total steals, and that was what would have made it a triple-double. But, yeah, I used to watch the highlights to that game all the time. I used to watch them excessively. And also the third game of that season against the Chicago Bulls. when they beat the Bulls with Derrick Rose playing. So, I mean, Carter Williams set the world on fire to start his rookie year, and that was the peak of his career, which is crazy. Anytime I'm online and people talk about Michael Carter Williams, they're like he's the only guy to peak in his NBA debut.
Now he's a boxer.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was crazy. Yeah, 6'5", 190. Sounds like VJ Edgecombe's measurables, which is pretty funny. But no, I like VJ. Also, one last thing, Sixers related. I think VJ just joined the podcast P show, which is actually going to make me listen to my first episode of Paul George's podcast.
I used to watch the clips a lot.
I've seen clips of it. I've never actually watched it.
No, I was going to say was I used to watch. No, I was going to say was I used to watch a lot of the clips of the Pat Bev podcast when he was playing here.
Yeah,
you know, with him in Rome.
I definitely want to watch that just to see VJ's mentality and his perspective on things. Hopefully, hopefully the exciting mice can bring on Andrew Makuba soon. That'd be cool to get to.
That would be cool.
That'd be like a good insight, or Jahad Campbell, but more so Makuba, just based off of I don't know as much about Makuba as opposed to other guys. So that'd be cool to hear.
I mean, I want to see a Jalen Hurts episode more than anything.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I feel like that's going to come down the line in a prestigious type of situation. You know what I mean? But I remember it was dope. I don't really watch the New Heights podcast too much anymore, but when they had the Super Bowl episode when the Chiefs and the Eagles played in the Super Bowl right before that was obviously a dope one because it just was there was such you could feel the energy, you know what I mean? Just how weird it was, the situation they were going into. But yeah, that'll wrap it up. Before we end the podcast, just give me some random crazy thing about the NFL. Just say something crazy about the NFL. Just give me a random person that's going to go off this year for any team. Just anything crazy about the NFL. Any prediction, any team, any crazy prediction about the NFL. You can give me right now before we end this podcast.
Well, now I'm really put on the spot.
Don't say anything too crazy because last year you said something crazy and now you're going to get a big razor to your head because of it. So don't say anything too crazy. But
God, if I'm just thinking general NFL, I'll just say this. I think there's a good chance we see round 3 of Eagles versus Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And I hope we stomp the shit out of them. Actually, I think if we do see the Chiefs again in the Super Bowl, it's going to be a close game this time.
Well, that would be the last team that went to 4 straight Super Bowls is the Bills when they lost all those Super Bowls in a row.
Oh, that would be 4 straight for them. Wow, yeah.
And that was a lot of them were versus the NFC East, weren't they? 2 of them to the Cowboys. I think one was to the Giants of the Washington.
Yeah. So but I was thinking about how that's all I can think of.
I was thinking about how crazy it would be because like I said, the NFL Network's playing those replays. If the Chiefs would have won that Super Bowl, Mahomes would have had 4 Super Bowls with 2 of them with 4 Super Bowl wins against 2 teams, 2-2, which would have been crazy against the Eagles. You would have beaten.
Would have been.
Yeah. It would have been crazy. I have a crazy prediction. This is local based since we're on the Paisan Philadelphia sports based podcast here. When I was saying about Jahan Dotson getting beaten out, I actually want to predict that Jahan Dotson has a oddly productive year and the inclining the Eagles to potentially re-sign him on a lucrative or a short-term good for the team and good for him deal.
I could see that. I think not a crazy take, but I think my biggest take going into this season is we're going to see Jalen Hurts take the next step. I think this is going to be the year where
things about that, Jahan
Dotson
came up huge for Jalen a couple times in the season, and 2 particular plays in the in the playoffs where remember when they got the turnover versus the Packers in the playoffs. the first play, I think that the turnover off that was when he found him in the end zone for that 25-yard touchdown. And then obviously in the Super Bowl, he had that ball where he caught down to the 1-yard line that was originally called a touchdown. So I feel like Jahan Dotson actually can make some plays. He also made that crazy.
Jahan Dotson, listen, with Jahan Dotson, the talent is still all there. I mean, the capability is still all there. You saw what he did in the final week of the season when Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown sat out for that game. And Tanner McKee was just getting him the ball all afternoon. I think that's my other take is I think we're going to see a lot of really good stuff in the preseason from Tanner McKee. And if Jalen Hurts has to miss a game or two this season, which he typically does, I think Tanner McKee is really going to show up and impress people.
I think you're a lot higher than I'll ever be on Tanner McKee, but I guess that's that.
All right, well, that'll wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 107. And hopefully, I mean, by this time, I think we'll be talking about some new Phillies. I don't know about the importance level of who those new Phillies could be, but we'll probably be talking about some new Phillies. The Eagles are going to be in training camp. Maybe we'll be talking about some new Eagles if somebody becomes available in the trade market, which would be interesting. That'd be cool. If they can get somebody. Our hopes of, trading for Shamar Stewart for a 3rd-round pick and getting a 1st-round pick as a 3rd-round pick are over since he signed with the Bengals, but maybe there's another guy out there they can upgrade. I would think if they made a miscellaneous trade right now, maybe a good offensive lineman that they could plug to their offensive line becomes available. A pass rusher. Maybe somebody.
I think the only thing. I can't
really see anything else being available.
Pass rusher depth is the only need this roster has.
Oh, and also we didn't even mention Von Miller signed with the Commanders. I kind of ruined the Vic Fangio Von Miller connection, and he signed in the division. He said a big reason why he signed with them was Jaden Daniels, but we kind of talked about that happening for the Eagles, and that got shut down. So, I mean, but they've also proven in the past, the Eagles, that they could add some vets across the D-line for the pass rush. They did with Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph, and some of the other big guys they added.
Michael Bennett. Don't forget Michael Bennett.
Yeah, over the years past. So, yeah, we'll see. But thank you guys for tuning in to episode 107 of the Paisan Sports Podcast.